There is a berry that turns your fingers purple, your tongue black, your teeth the color of midnight. For 1,000 years, European children gathered it from wild mountains every August, staining everything they touched. It fed monks. It dyed manuscripts. Medieval healers called it the eye cure. Then, in 1940, a legend was born. British pilots flying blind through German fire ate this berry as jam before every mission. Their night vision sharpened. They shot down planes in total darkness. The Luftwaffe could not explain it. Neither could science. 80 years later, the legend is fake. But the berry is real. And what happened to it tells a darker story. Because today, this wild fruit generates $5 billion for pharmaceutical companies who crush it into pills. Yet 85% of those pills contain counterfeits. Cheap substitutes, black soybean hulls, food dyes. The real berry, still free, still growing wild across Europe's mountains, still impossible to farm, impossible to own, impossible to control. This is the story of Bilberry, the fruit that refused domestication, outlasted empires, and became so valuable that corporations would rather sell you fakes than let you taste the real thing. Welcome to Nature's Lost Vault. Before we open this vault, if these stories matter to you, the best way to preserve this wisdom is simple. Subscribe, hit the bell, and share these vaults with those who need to remember what we forgot. The archive opens in the Austrian Alps. The year is 1150. A Benedictine abbess named Hildegard von Bingen sits in her stone monastery, copying medical texts by candlelight. Her fingers are stained deep purple, not from ink, from berries. She writes that these small dark fruits soothe eye strain when eyes grow tired from reading scripture. She calls them gifts for scholars who work by firelight. Monks across Europe know them by a dozen names. Myrtillus in France, blueberry in Scandinavia, Heidelbeere in Germany. But the Vikings had the oldest name, Boelebar, dark berry. By the 1500s, European apothecaries sold dried bilberries in every market. They treated bladder stones, scurvy, lung tuberculosis, coughs that wouldn't stop. But their most famous use was for vision. Sailors ate them before night watches. Travelers carried them on dark roads. In 1653, Nicholas Culpeper, an English herbalist, wrote in his Complete Herbal that bilberries cool the heat of the liver, stop vomiting, and heal ulcers in the lungs. He noted something curious. The berry grows only in the coldest, highest places. Acidic soil, mountain heaths, Nordic forests, as if nature designed it for scarcity. And it was scarce, because bilberry refuses every rule of agriculture. Vaccinium myrtillus demands soil so acidic that wheat dies in it. It requires specific fungi in its roots. It needs cool summers and cold winters, down to -30 degrees Celsius. It cannot be transplanted without killing it. It cannot be irrigated without rotting it. It cannot be bred, hybridized, or controlled. Every August, from Scotland to Siberia, families climbed mountains with woven baskets. They picked berries, one by one. The fruit stained fingers so deeply that dentists in Germany used the juice to teach children proper brushing. Any missed spots turned purple. The harvest was tradition. In Ireland, the last Sunday of July became Bilberry Sunday. Families picked them for the Celtic festival of Lughnasadh, marking the end of July's hunger. The crop's size predicted the year's fortune. A heavy bilberry harvest meant good wheat. A light harvest meant famine was coming. But bilberries had a problem. They were too wild, too small, too scattered. While American farmers cultivated blueberries into fat, clustered fruits that machines could harvest, bilberries grew in pairs, tiny, irregular, soft enough that transport crushed them. Bilberry remained what it had always been, a wild mountain berry for those willing to climb. Then came 1940, World War II. The German Luftwaffe bombed London every night. Royal Air Force pilots flew blind into darkness, trying to intercept bombers before they reached the city. And they started winning, dramatically. One pilot, Flight Lieutenant John Cunningham, shot down 20 German planes. The press called him Cat's Eyes Cunningham. When reporters asked how he saw in total darkness, the British government had an answer ready: bilberry jam. The story went that Royal Air Force pilots ate bilberry jam before every night mission. The anthocyanins in the berries supposedly sharpened their night vision, letting them see German bombers against black skies. The legend spread across Britain, then across Europe, then around the world. German command believed it, and they started feeding bilberries to their own pilots. But it was a lie. All of it. The Royal Air Force had developed airborne radar, a secret technology that let pilots detect planes in total darkness. To hide the radar, British intelligence invented the bilberry story. They even printed propaganda posters encouraging civilians to eat bilberries and carrots to see through blackouts. The Germans fell for it. So did the world. And for 80 years, the myth survived. Bilberry extract for vision. Sold in every health store, mentioned in every article. Except the science never confirmed it. In 2000, researchers at the Naval Aerospace Research Laboratory in Florida tested it. They gave young men bilberry extract containing 40 milligrams of anthocyanins and measured their night vision. No improvement. Zero. In 2000, another study at Tel Aviv University repeated the experiment. Same result. Bilberry did not improve night vision. The Royal Air Force pilots had used radar, not berries. But the fake legend created something real. A market. By the 1980s, bilberry extract became one of the best-selling herbal supplements in Europe. By 2010, Americans spent $28 million annually on bilberry pills. The market exploded. Today, the global bilberry extract industry is worth $5.2 billion, growing at 10.5% annually through 2032. Pharmaceutical companies standardized it, 25% anthocyanins and 100 times more concentrated than raw bilberries. They marketed it for eye health, circulation, diabetes, and anti-aging. They sold it for $20 per pound, then $30, then more. But there was a problem. Bilberries still could not be farmed. In Nordic countries, over 17% of Sweden's land grows wild bilberries naturally. An estimated 500 million kilograms of bilberries grow across Scandinavia every year, but only 5 to 8% ever get picked. Why? Because harvesting them is brutal. The berries grow scattered across mountain slopes. They ripen at different times. Machines damage them. Hand-picking is slow, agonizing. You crawl through underbrush with a metal rake, scratching berries into buckets. Your hands turn black. Your back aches. 1 kilogram takes an hour. By the time you carry them down the mountain, half are crushed. Fresh bilberries can cost up to €11 per kilogram in European markets, but they spoil in days. They cannot be shipped. They cannot be stored. The only way to preserve them is freezing or drying. And the only way to concentrate their anthocyanins is expensive chemical extraction. So pharmaceutical companies built a $5 billion industry on one simple fact: wild bilberries are too valuable and too difficult to harvest efficiently. This created the perfect conditions for fraud. In 2013, Consumer Lab tested 9 popular bilberry supplements sold in American stores. Only 75% passed. One product contained only 62% of its promised anthocyanins. It was not real bilberry at all. In 2021, researchers at the University of Munster in Germany tested dried bilberries and dietary supplements. They found 91% of dried bilberries were genuine, but 45% of supplements were unacceptable. Nearly half. Some contained no bilberry at all. Others were spiked with anthocyanins from black soybeans, black rice, elderberries, or synthetic dyes. The American Botanical Council investigated and found that 85% of analyzed bilberry products on the market were insufficient in anthocyanin content or outright fraudulent. Why? Because real European bilberry, Vaccinium myrtillus, is expensive, wild-harvested, and limited in supply. Chinese factories can produce cheaper alternatives. Black soybean hulls contain similar anthocyanins, as do mulberries, black rice, and wild cherries. These are cheap alternatives. Mix them together, add synthetic dyes, standardize to 25% anthocyanins, and sell it as bilberry. Most laboratories cannot tell the difference without advanced HPLC fingerprinting, and most companies do not test. Standardize. One supplement industry insider admitted that in many markets, manufacturers are not even required to test each batch. They just trust the certificate of analysis from their suppliers, who trust their suppliers, who bought from China. Trust. The fraud is systematic, industrial, and profitable, because the pharmaceutical model demands it. Bilberries grow wild, free, and unownable, but pills can be patented, standardized, controlled, and priced. A bottle of bilberry extract capsules costs $25 for 60 pills. Wild bilberries are free if you climb a Swedish mountain in August. But here is what the fake pills hide. The real berry actually works, just not for night vision. In 1993, the USDA studied bilberry's nutritional content. It found 3 times more calcium than milk and as much protein as eggs, all from a wild berry that never needs irrigation or fertilizer. In 2005, the University of Arizona found bilberry anthocyanins lower blood sugar without causing sugar crashes. The low glycemic index makes them safe for people with diabetes. One scientist wrote that bilberry is the sugar that heals instead of harms. In 2019, studies confirmed that bilberry anthocyanins reduce inflammation markers in human blood. C-reactive protein dropped. Interleukin-6 dropped. Cardiovascular protection improved. In 2021, clinical trials showed bilberry extract strengthens blood vessels in the retina. It slows diabetic retinopathy and improves circulation in people with chronic venous insufficiency. The European Medicines Agency approved bilberry for relieving heaviness in the legs from blood circulation problems. The European Pharmacopoeia set quality standards: minimum 1% tannins in dried fruit, minimum 0.3% anthocyanins in fresh fruit. The science is real, the benefits are documented, but the industry could not wait for mountains to grow more berries, so they built an empire on counterfeits. Today, the bilberry extract market is projected to reach $5.2 billion by 2032. Dietary supplements, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, functional foods. The demand is everywhere. Meanwhile, the actual fruit? Still wild, still free, still growing on 17% of Sweden's land, still unpicked, because modern food systems demand 3 things bilberry cannot provide: uniformity, scalability, and ownership. Bilberries ripen at different times, some in July, some in September. You cannot harvest an entire field in one pass. Industrial food does not tolerate that. Bilberries are soft. They bruise in transport. They spoil in days. Global supply chains cannot handle that. Bilberries grow wild on public land. In Sweden, Norway, Finland, anyone can pick them. It is called allemansrätten, the right to roam, the right to forage. You cannot fence it, cannot patent it, cannot monopolize it. For a pharmaceutical industry built on intellectual property, this is unacceptable. So they do not sell you bilberries. They sell you extracts, concentrated, standardized, encapsulated, priced at $20 per pound when the berries themselves cost nothing. And when supply runs short, they sell you fakes. The bilberry teaches what all wild foods teach. Abundance without ownership is dangerous to systems built on scarcity. For 1,000 years, European families climbed mountains every August. They returned with purple fingers and full baskets. The berries fed them through winter, dyed their clothes, healed their circulation. No middlemen, no supply chains, no quality control certificates. Just people and mountains and fruit. But that system does not scale. It does not generate quarterly returns. It does not build shareholder value. So it was replaced, not with farms, with pills, not with access, with extraction. Today, the bilberry extract industry grows at 10% annually, while 95% of wild bilberries rot unpicked in Scandinavian forests. The fruit that fed medieval monks for free now costs $25 for a month's supply in capsule form. And half those capsules are fake. Climate change is coming. Droughts, heat, crop failures. The foods feeding 8 billion people were bred for stable conditions. That stability is ending. Bilberry was born for chaos. It grows in the coldest, highest, harshest mountains in Europe. It survives where cultivated crops die. It requires no irrigation, no fertilizer, no human intervention at all. It just grows, free, forever, waiting for hands willing to climb. But those hands will not find it in stores, will not find it in fields, will not find it in capsules that claim to contain it but do not. They will find it the same way Europeans have for 1,000 years. On a mountain, in August, with purple fingers and a basket. The knowledge is not lost. It is just buried under $5 billion worth of pills that do not contain what they promise. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe to Nature's Lost Vault and hit the bell. Every like and every share preserves what they tried to erase. The next vault opens soon.